Our story begins in North Carolina, USA, where Jeffrey Allen Manchester, a mysterious and elusive criminal, begins his spree. Known as the Roof Man, Jeffrey had a unique approach to burglary. He would enter through the roof, break into McDonald's restaurants at night, and disappear before anyone noticed. His method was daring and stealthy, earning him a reputation across North Carolina. Police were baffled by his escapes, often finding only a small hole in the roof and an empty safe. The city was on edge, and officers doubled their efforts to catch the Roof Man. Jeffrey's criminal career was well planned, almost like a military operation. He had a background in the Army, where he was trained in climbing, camouflage, and survival. Using these skills, he meticulously planned each heist, always choosing McDonald's locations with similar layouts to avoid surprises. By studying each target in advance, he knew exactly where the safes were and how to enter without triggering alarms. For years, his strategies worked flawlessly, leaving police with no clues. People began to wonder if the Roof Man would ever be caught. It was in 2000 when Jeffrey's luck finally ran out. During a robbery, he was caught off guard and apprehended by the police. Despite his capture, he remained calm and even complimented the officers for finally catching him. The trial was swift, with overwhelming evidence proving his guilt. Jeffrey was sentenced to 45 years in prison for his string of burglaries. North Carolina breathed a sigh of relief, believing they were safe from the notorious Roof Man. However, Jeffrey had other plans. In prison, Jeffrey initially presented himself as a model inmate. He followed rules, participated in activities, and gained the trust of prison staff. His good behavior earned him a spot working in the metal shop, a seemingly harmless job, but one that provided him an opportunity to observe and analyze the prison's layout and routines. Jeffrey was constantly watching, memorizing guard schedules, and identifying potential weak points in security. The guards had no idea that their model inmate was planning a daring escape. After months of observation, Jeffrey formulated an escape plan. He noticed that each afternoon, a truck arrived to pick up metal goods. He realized that the space beneath the truck was just large enough to conceal a person. With this knowledge, he began collecting materials to create a makeshift cover that would blend with the underside of the truck. Jeffrey knew that with careful timing and his camouflage skills, he could escape without being seen. The audacious plan was set. Now, all he needed was the right moment. The perfect day arrived on a rainy afternoon in June. Jeffrey knew that rain meant fewer guards outside, as they often stayed indoors to avoid the weather. As the truck arrived, he positioned himself, taking advantage of a guard shift change to slip under the truck undetected. He placed the cover he made, blending seamlessly with the vehicle's underside. As the truck rolled out of the prison gates, Jeffrey held his breath, hoping his plan would go unnoticed. Moments later, he was outside the prison walls, free once again. Now a fugitive, Jeffrey needed a place to hide. He traveled to Charlotte, North Carolina, and chose an abandoned section of a Toys R Us store. He scouted the area, eventually finding a hidden spot behind a display in the bike section. Jeffrey used his skills to avoid detection, sneaking in and out of the store only when necessary. Over time, he created a small living space for himself, complete with bedding, snacks, and even a small lamp. It was the perfect hideout, right in the heart of a busy city yet completely hidden. Jeffrey's life in the Toys R Us became surprisingly luxurious. He had access to toys, clothes, and even a mini exercise bike. To avoid security, he altered the store's surveillance cameras, setting them to loop playback so his movements wouldn't be recorded. Jeffrey settled into a routine, enjoying his kingdom after hours. Each night, he would help himself to snacks and explore the store, indulging in a life that was bizarrely comfortable for a man on the run. His life as a fugitive had turned into an unexpected adventure. However, Jeffrey's peaceful existence in the store couldn't last forever. Employees started noticing missing items, mainly small toys and snacks. They were baffled, as the security footage showed nothing unusual. But Jeffrey remained cautious, carefully monitoring employee schedules to avoid detection. His presence in the store remained a mystery, hidden behind the clever tricks he employed to blend in. Still, as the holiday season approached, the store became busier, making it increasingly difficult for Jeffrey to maintain his secret hideout. As Christmas neared, Jeffrey decided it was time to leave Toys R Us. The crowds and extra employees for the holiday season increased the risk of discovery. Jeffrey found a new location next door, a closed Circuit City. Using tools from Toys R Us, he created a hidden doorway between the two stores, making it easy to travel back and forth. In Circuit City, he built a small but comfortable room for himself. With posters on the walls and a mattress on the floor, Jeffrey felt more secure, but he knew his escape would soon draw attention. In his new hideout, Jeffrey grew more daring. Circuit City offered space and privacy, allowing him to live comfortably while avoiding detection. He even rigged up a small television and found ways to access food and supplies. With his routine set, he began attending church nearby, blending into the community. At church, he gained the trust of others, even participating in charity drives. He became known for his generosity, often donating toys that he had secretly taken from the Toys R Us store next door. Over time, Jeffrey's life as a fugitive felt almost normal. He attended church events, even volunteering his time for local causes. In this life of false freedom, Jeffrey met a woman named Lily, a churchgoer who was drawn to his charm and generosity. They began dating, and Lily had no idea of Jeffrey's true identity. To her, he was a kind, thoughtful man who cared for others. Their relationship blossomed, and Jeffrey managed to keep his criminal life hidden, creating a facade of a loving, stable partner. Despite his new life, Jeffrey's criminal tendencies never disappeared. With Christmas approaching, he plotted a grand heist at Toys R Us, believing the holiday season would mean large cash deposits in the store's safe. He meticulously planned his next move, studying employee shifts and routines. Jeffrey even installed listening devices to monitor employee conversations, making sure he'd know exactly when and how to strike. With his elaborate setup in Circuit City and his hidden passageway, he felt confident in his plan. On December 26th, the day after Christmas, Jeffrey put his plan into action. Armed and disguised, he entered Toys R Us and quickly took control of the situation, forcing employees into the storage room. He demanded the safe's code, using his knowledge of the store's layout to move swiftly and avoid detection. However, his plan began to unravel as one employee managed to slip away and alert the police. Jeffrey, realizing he was running out of time, rushed to grab as much cash as he could before making a desperate escape. As Jeffrey attempted his getaway, he was confronted by a female police officer who arrived at the scene. Startled, he struck her in an attempt to flee, marking the first time he'd used violence against anyone. The hit delayed him just long enough for backup to arrive. With police now surrounding the store, Jeffrey had no choice but to abandon the heist. He managed to escape into the night, but the close call was a reminder that his life as a fugitive was unsustainable. The police were now on high alert, determined to bring him in. With his cover nearly blown, Jeffrey went into hiding, retreating to his hidden room in Circuit City. He knew that police were now actively searching for him and that his usual tricks wouldn't work forever. His mind raced as he considered his options, realizing he needed a way to keep a low profile. The days following the failed heist were tense. Jeffrey avoided public places, relying on his makeshift hideout. The once thrilling life of freedom and luxury had turned into a game of survival as he kept an ear to the ground, listening for any news about the search for him. Desperate and running out of options, Jeffrey turned to the church community for solace. Despite being a wanted man, he continued to attend services and social gatherings, using his charm to maintain relationships. During this time, he leaned heavily on Lily, his girlfriend, who remained unaware of his true identity. Lily admired his involvement in the community and his generosity toward others. Little did she know that her beloved John, as he was known, was living a double life and was at the center of a massive police manhunt. The police, meanwhile, were closing in on him. They tracked down surveillance footage from Toys R Us that showed Jeffrey's face just before his escape. When the church community saw the news, shock rippled through everyone who knew John. But it was Lily who felt the most betrayed. Heartbroken, she couldn't believe that the man she loved was not only a criminal, but a fugitive from justice. When police approached her, Lily was torn, unsure of what to believe. Ultimately, she agreed to help them, hoping to find some closure and justice. The police set up a sting operation with Lily's cooperation. She called Jeffrey, inviting him to her home under the pretense of celebrating her birthday. Unaware of the trap, Jeffrey agreed, eager to see Lily and celebrate. That evening, he arrived at her house holding a bouquet and a gift. As he stepped onto her porch, police officers hidden nearby moved in. Realizing he had been caught, Jeffrey tried to escape, but it was too late. The roof man was finally in custody, ending his months-long run from the law. After his arrest, Jeffrey was questioned extensively. The police were eager to learn more about his months on the run and the elaborate setups he had built in Toys R Us in Circuit City. Jeffrey confessed to everything, detailing his life in hiding with a strange sense of pride. He even described his living quarters, his careful routines, and his close calls with the law. Investigators were both fascinated and appalled by his audacity. To them, he was not just a criminal, but a master manipulator who had nearly outsmarted the entire system. Manchester's repeated evasion of law enforcement only fueled his arrogance. Each time he slipped away, he felt invincible. But deep down, he knew that his time would eventually run out. The thrill of outsmarting the law had started to fade, replaced by the creeping fear that his luck would soon run out. Eventually, law enforcement narrowed down their search, tracking Manchester's movements with increasing precision. They knew it was only a matter of time before they caught him. However, Manchester's ability to blend in with various communities, using fake identities and altering his appearance, made him a difficult target to pin down. After years of evading capture, Manchester grew more careless. In one of his final robberies, he made a mistake. A small detail that was easily overlooked, a piece of evidence left behind, finally led to his capture. The authorities, who had been chasing him for so long, now had the upper hand. The capture of Jeffrey Allen Manchester marked the end of a long, intense manhunt. The once feared burglar was now behind bars. His story became one of cautionary tales about the consequences of living a life in the shadows and constantly looking over your shoulder. Today, Manchester's name is still remembered, not for his crimes, but for his ability to evade justice for so long. His case serves as a reminder that no matter how clever someone might be, justice has a way of finding them in the end. Shadow Mysteries, unraveling the horrifying mysteries of crime cases. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch the next thrilling and suspenseful episodes.